It's 2023 and we are going back to the Galactic Starcruiser, but we want to do a big spoiler-free discussion for you guys.
So, let's discuss.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Dano channel. I am Dano and it's 2023. This is my first real official video that's not a live stream. And of course, you know, I had to have my best friend Sara on this. This is Sara Jay Mac from Princess and Scoundrel Show, Carry on the Magic Travel. And where else? Is that all of it? Did I just do it for you?
I think you covered all of it, yeah. It's like
Awesome.
like Mother of Dragons. I've got many titles. Mom Moshma, if you will.
Mom Moshma, yeah. Well, we're not here to talk about Mosh today. We're going to be talking all about Galactic Starcruiser, some of the changes for 2023, some of the plans that we have in going later in 2023, and really just giving an update. But for those who are uninitiated, who have not been, who don't know a whole lot about Galactic Starcruiser, Sara, how would you describe it?
The best way to describe it is a 2-night immersive experience. You are living on a ship called the Halcyon, and there is an overarching Star Wars story that is taking place in which you are a character in that story. It is, like I said, very immersive. You're going to be on the ship. You're even going to be making an excursion to Batuu or Galaxy's Edge within Hollywood Studios. And you're doing missions, you're doing secret meetings, you're doing all kinds of things that you would not expect to be doing and really feel like you're in one of the movies.
Before we get into our big discussion on Galactic Starcruiser in 2023, we do want to let you know about a whole cluster of Facebook groups that we run together, and they focus on Galactic Starcruiser and Galaxy's Edge. So we have different groups set up for droids, for lightsabers, for food and drink, random tips and tricks, and costuming. So You'll know you're in the right spot if you see one of our groups, and it's got this little banner, little logo right there on it. It's for our little group, Galactic Bound. You'll also see it say Group by Galactic Bound on it. All of our group banners have it, and they're also going to be linked in the description down below. So, 2023, Galactic Starcruiser, the first thing most people think about is the price tag. So, have prices gone up in 2023? What kind of differences do we have? What's new here?
So, yes, 2023 pricing did go up slightly. Galactic Starcruiser pricing is like everybody's favorite topic when it comes to Starcruiser. Like you said, it went up slightly. There is some seasonality to it. They know their market and when people want to go. So May 4th is the more expensive voyage. You're looking at spring break is more expensive. The weekends tend to be more expensive. But overall, from the 2022 pricing to what we have available in 2023, the prices only increased slightly. So to kind of back up, when Starcruiser first opened, we were only able to book from March of 2022 through September of 2022. When they opened up that Q4 pricing, there was a pretty significant price jump for that last quarter of the year. For what we're seeing so far in 2023, which is January 2023 all the way through September of 2023, the pricing went up slightly. So I think we're going to stay about the same as what we saw last year. But yes, it did go up a little bit. Now, the other things that have gone up in 2023 is Captain's Table. So Captain's Table, when it first came out, was $30 per person. Now that the price has increased to $50 per person. A couple of the other price changes that have happened is the CSL Portrait Experience. That was initially $99. It jumped up in mid-October, so it is now $399 for each photo session that you book.
$400 for that thing.
Yeah.
Whoa. Okay,
I mean, they're great pictures.
They are, but that's the biggest price increase out of any of them, like percentage wise.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. That's the biggest one. And then the other thing to note is that the portrait sessions used to be a lot more available. There used to be a lot more times available. They're shortening the window in which you can book Portrait Experience. So just keep that in mind when you're calling in. If you have a specific time in mind, it may not be available when you hit your 60-day mark to book that.
Gotcha. Now, I did mention those Facebook groups earlier, and I forgot to say we're actually going to be going over tips and questions because those groups are a big resource. And we decided to ask everybody, what kind of questions or ideas do you have for this video? And the first one that comes up here, we have Patrick Radiker asking basically what you were talking about here. Can you outline the pricing? I'm sure you know the website has sample pricing, but you have to call and wait in line. So with your experience booking, can you show the seasonal fluctuations and individual costs? Like, is there a way to do that, or a resource that people can get a better idea?
I will tell you the best way to get a feel for what the seasonality is for Starcruiser is to look up the DVC point chart for 2023. What happened when Starcruiser first opened is somebody took those DVC points and converted them into dollars and then basically built out a price chart for each of the voyages. It was off a little bit, maybe $50 per voyage, but it was pretty accurate. Nobody's done that for the 2023 voyages yet, but I will reference that to see if there's a certain time frame that people want to go, what price they can expect based off of other things that I've booked. Now, yes, on the website, they do have sample pricing, which is, of course, the cheapest pricing of the year. Just so that you know, that is specifically weekdays at the very end of August and the very beginning of September. So if you're looking for the absolute cheapest time to go, which is quoted at $4,800, you're looking at weekdays mid-August to about mid-September.
And that's like when school starts, so their people are less likely to have travel then anyways.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. It typically follows the slow seasons for Disney vacations anyway, in that January, February tend to be slower seasons, so those are priced a little bit lower. Once you start ramping up to spring break, it gets a little higher, goes down maybe a little bit before May hits, and then from there on through summer, that's when everybody's off. That's the easiest time to go, and so
that makes sense.
They price it accordingly.
Now, speaking of prices, did the drink prices go up? Do we know anything about that? I haven't seen anybody post in the groups yet.
Yeah, I don't know if the drink prices have gone up. There is a new drink that came out, and I don't know if we covered this in our last video. It's called the Crate Reactor. It is a 4-person dragon fruit margarita. And
sign me up. I'll take 2.
Yeah, right? You need 2 adults. So that's a good thing to note. You need 2 adults in order to order.
Okay. So you can't just have one with all 4 drinks to yourself? I can't just carry it around?
No.
Like with one of those hats with the straws.
Oh my gosh. It's heavy. It's really heavy. The thing is metal.
And it's got 4 drinks.
And it's got 4 drinks.
That's awesome.
And it's delicious. But yeah, that's the most expensive drink you can order there. It's not like on the Disney Wish with the, what is the lounge called there? The Hyperspace Lounge.
$5,000 Camtono or whatever. Yeah, that's ridiculous.
It's not that. This drink is, as of the last time I looked at it, was $80. But for 4 margaritas. For Disney drinks. Pricing, like, not bad. It comes with a little fun. It comes with a fun presentation and everything too. So.
Oh, that's cool. Okay, I like that. Yeah. So we don't know if drinks prices have gone up, and I suspect the same is going to be for merchandise. From what we've seen, T-shirts cost the same, all that kind of stuff costs the same. But also wanted to point out, there hasn't really been any new merchandise reported for this year. They're still selling the same stuff they did last year. One of the big differences that we saw come up, we saw it early summer, I want to say June, the Sabak chip set showed up for like a week, and then nobody could get one forever. But recently, in the last couple of weeks, someone in our group reported seeing it again. So I don't know, I wouldn't tell people going this year to expect it to be available just because it's been kind of scarce, but know that it has come back recently.
Right. Yeah, it is back for now.
For now. The other thing I wanted to... Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say the other thing is magic bands. So Starcruiser is still passing out the magic bands, not old magic bands, but regular magic bands, not Magic Band Plus. Yeah, it's technically Magic Band 2, but
not Plus.
Plus, not the newest iteration that's been around for maybe the last 4 or 5 months. So it's not going to light up. It's not going to vibrate. It's not going to allow you to play the Batu Bounty Hunt when you're on Batu. Not the one that's unofficially by Dano.
Which we have a Facebook group for, shameless plug. But this one right here, this white magic band, this is the one they give you. And I've seen a couple... Recently, somebody was asking again in the group, hey, I didn't get mine in the mail yet. Am I supposed to get it when I get there? And then, but the funny part was there was a different, 4 people said I did get mine in the mail. And 3 people were like, no, you get them when you get there. So there seems to be varying results on that. Do you know any reason why they would do anything different?
I don't. I have not heard. I saw the comments of people saying that they got theirs in the mail. I don't know if they got their Starcruiser magic bands in the mail or if they got magic bands as part of their pre-voyage in the mail.
I asked, and they did. I was told white. I was told the white Star
Oh,
Cruiser. I asked specifically. I was like, well, okay, because I had that same question. I was like, well, if you pre-booked and did a whole package, maybe you're getting your package magic bands they ship to you because they still do that. But the
not for
Star
free
Cruiser,
anymore. You pay
not
for
for
those.
free, but you pay for
Right.
them exactly. But they still do it, and they still will ship them. But last I'd heard, for the majority of people, when you arrive to Star Cruiser, that's when you're given the magic band. But apparently, some people are getting them mailed too. So just be open to both, I guess. At worst case, if when you get there, they're still going to have one for you. Do they do put names on them? But I dropped it. It's official. But still, but still, like they can always get you one if you didn't get it in the mail or something, and you arrive and they're like, "No, I never was sent one." They can
Yeah.
always activate one for you. So don't worry about it too much. You're very likely going to get one when you arrive.
Yep. Oh, another thing to note is that I have recently learned that they are no longer holding luggage at Disney Springs. So for people that are leaving Star Cruiser and maybe flying out that evening and they need somewhere to hold their luggage, Disney Springs will not hold your luggage anymore. So do not ask to go to Disney Springs. You will be checking out at passenger services and you can explain to them, I'm flying out later this evening, but I don't really have anywhere to go or to put my luggage. And they will tell you what resort will hold your luggage for that day. Typically it's Disney Riviera Resort, but sometimes that hits capacity. And so they're going to, they'll put you at another resort for the day. So just keep that in mind, check with passenger services and you'll be good.
That's interesting. So it's going to be changing. So part of us wanting to like set your guys' expectations is be ready for change. Like because sometimes you may have heard. Well, I heard it was the Riviera. Well, sorry, today
Yeah.
you got to go to Polynesian or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay,
Sorry, you
good.
got to go to Polynesia.
I know, too bad. Go have a drink at Trader Sam's. I'd be happy with that. So as far as changes go, recently a couple people have posted, the cast members, that they are leaving Galactic Starcruiser. What do we know about that?
So, in terms of that, I just want to put out there first and foremost, this is not an indication of the success or the failure of Star Cruiser. Contracts end at the
They're
end of
leaving.
February.
They hate it. They're leaving. It's failing.
I know.
So
Contracts are ending at
ridiculous.
the end of February. That's marks 1 year of Star Cruiser being open. And so it very much, if you just are a little bit logical, it makes sense that contracts are going to be over after the first year. Some people either made the decision not to renew, some people weren't renewed, and then some people did renew. It's just the way any kind of contracts work. But I would say the two that have gone the most public about their departure from Star Cruiser is Sage Starkey, who played Sammy the mechanic, and he also most recently started playing Lieutenant Croy, and then Matt Pablo, who started out as Sandro.
And I'll put a link down to their individual videos because they both went on, I think, TikTok and made Instagram reels,
Yep.
kind of detailing their reasons why and what they had to say about it. So you can kind of watch and just get it from them instead of from us. So now we're going to move on to the Facebook group member tips and question and answers they had for this video. And the first one we've got here comes from KM Mason. It says, I think a how to play with some examples of possible storylines or activities and datapad and scanning might be useful. For those that don't play game much or don't play games much, LARPing and stuff, yeah, that is a little confusing if you don't LARP. But there's a lot of lost people that get off to a slow start and then have some FOMO the second day because nobody explained it to them. So this was my feedback. Actually, I was reading my note from about a week after we went to Star Cruiser the first time, and that was literally my thoughts. My one gripe was I wish they would have explained it a little bit better, kind of how to play, or at least given a better overview. But I think they've recently addressed that a little bit.
Yes, they did. So it's kind of in a weird way too. They have updated the website, but you can't directly you have to have the link to get to this part of the website, but it explains how to use your phone, which is what they call your data pad, to interact with the ship prior to getting there and when you are there. So how to set up your account for My Disney Experience, how to link your friends and family, how to download the Play Disney Parks app and set up accounts for everybody there, and then accessing your data pad to look at your itinerary, to look at your communications. And then once you're actually on the ship, how to communicate with the different cast members, how to see what events you need to go to, anything that you need to do when you're interacting. At some points you are interacting with the ship, but it shows you exactly how to do it in this website, which I'm sure, Daniel, you will link to. The other thing to note, and this
All
is
the
not
links.
all the links.
Yeah.
We'll talk about this in a way that's not going to spoil the storylines or anything in any way. And the website is a really good way to understand how to play without it being spoiled. But essentially, there are different story paths that you can go down. It's not mutually exclusive where you have to go down one single path and stay down that single path.
Okay.
But it just depends on which characters you interact with. They'll likely reach out. You will be corresponded with every character at some point on your data pad, and it just depends on how you answer those questions and how you interact with those characters. Don't stress too much about trying to do all the things so that you don't have FOMO. You will have FOMO regardless.
No matter
there are
what.
multiple story paths. It's going to happen. There are so many story paths that are happening.
You can
There's
dabble
main ones.
in like
There's
a little bit of all of them, but like you can't reach the final conclusion of them all.
Exactly. There's literally no way for you to see all of it. So just understand that going into it, and hopefully that like just kind of gives you a little bit of peace too, because remember before our first voyage, we were like, okay, do we divide and conquer? What did we do? I mean, we were game planning hard, and then we got there and we're like, okay, you can't.
All plans fell apart.
You can't do any of that. Yeah. And so just go into it, interact with the characters as much as possible.
Yeah.
Make sure you're checking your data pad for updates. And they do a really good job of pulling you through the story. So just enjoy it.
One of the tips I've got too is when you say talk to all the characters, yes, all the main characters, like the captain, Lieutenant Croy, Sammy, whatever, but also just the regular cast members in blue shirts, they all have stories. Yeah. Like everybody there has a story. They may not like advance your story on the data pad, but they're really interesting, and those cast members work their butts off, and they come up with really cool ideas, and just like they make it fun too. So literally talk to everybody.
Yes. Oh yeah, absolutely. That's a great tip.
All right. We've got a tip here from Mark A. Roma. He's got 4 things. Wish you would have known. Wish I would have known I should worry less about the data pad from 1 to 4 o'clock on day 1 and focus more on meeting characters. That's exactly what we were just talking about. Next up, the memory maker photographers need to be chased down, and you might not have time for that in your adventures. Okay, I never even saw a memory maker photographer on my journey. I think you got maybe a picture or 2 with them. But so, yeah, you might have to search them out. They're not just readily available like they are in the park sometimes. Yep. Tip number 3 from Mark, stay up late and hang out in the lounge. I can vouch. That's a great tip. We did that every night. And number 4, won't bother.
Of the 2 nights.
Oh, the 2 nights. I felt like it was longer because I stayed up to like 4 in the morning every night.
Oh my gosh.
Even after the lounge closed, I stayed out, like literally last person out there by myself. It was great. Number 4, it won't bother or worry the cast if the story makes you have feelings and emotions. Don't I know it? That's what they're trying to do. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay if they see you cry.
Flash a picture of Dano crying on the screen.
Oh, no. All right, next up, we've got Justin Donnelly saying, thanks for doing this. We're booked for May, and I think the lingering question we have is about choosing paths. Since there's only 2 of them, is it beneficial, without spoilers, to try and stick to the same or go separate ways? This is exactly what we were talking about. And look, even Kyla here has the same question. It seems to be a pretty common thing that comes up. Do you stick with your friends and family, or do you choose a different path? What do you say?
It depends on the family dynamic. It's not a yes or no. That's the hard part.
It is.
If you have young kids with you and they're, I would say, younger than 6 and younger, then I would say stick with your kid, follow the path with your kid, because they're not going to be able to read and really understand how to use the data pad in a way that's going to progress your story in a forward motion. It might just be a bunch of ping pong and back and forth across different storylines. So if you have young kids, stick with them, help them follow a path that you guys decide on together. If you are 2 adults, which is what it is in this example, and it sounds so cheesy, but my best advice to you is just show up and see where it takes you, because you may show up saying, I'm going, this is directly related or directed at Dano right now. I'm going to go full resistance. And then you get there and this scoundrel walks in and locks eyes with you. And you just say, I will follow you to the
It
ends
went
of
right to my heart.
Batu.
Right to my heart.
And that's fine. But it's going to be jarring for you if you go into it fully expecting to follow one path and then you feel pulled to another path. So just show up, go the way you want to. And if you go different paths, actually you're covering more ground than if the two of you were going down the same path together. And you can come back in those down times and share what you've been doing.
You can do both, kind of. Like there's
you can.
Yeah, it's hard to explain without giving spoilers, but there are story elements happening for all paths at all times. So you might miss a little chunk of your story path, but it's not super. Sometimes it's not super impactful, and you can go with your partner, or friend, or family, and go do something with them, and then come back, and you can both do yours, or you can like. There's not really a better answer for any of it. It's really just like in the moment. Let the force guide you. So how are you feeling in that moment? Right. I think that's the best way to do it. Now, speaking of paths, this next question comes to us from Milton Hom. How can you interact with a character when... It's a bunch of questions here. When others try to monopolize... I'm going to read them all first, then we'll kind of take them on one by one. What to do if you press the wrong button by mistake on the data pad? Are you marked for life? That's the real good question. And 3, anything I can do before or during the cruise to prepare for the massive letdown at departure? That's, the Star Cruiser blues afterwards are rough. Oof. All right, first question, though. How can you interact with a character when others are trying to monopolize? This is a fear I've seen a lot of people have. Do you have any advice for that?
Again, don't worry about it.
No, for real. You're right.
Advice. But for real, don't worry about it. The characters and the crew members literally do this every day, and they will see people that are monopolizing. It could be adults. It could be kids that are just like super excited about things. And they are able to divert people and make sure that everybody gets attention. It may not be as much attention as you're wanting, but keep that in mind too, is that you also have to put yourself out there maybe a little more than you would be used to doing.
Yes.
And that's a hard thing to do for a lot of us, but make sure that you're putting yourself out there as well. And also just realize that they like if you're like, oh no, and they maybe didn't pick you for this one thing, they kind of keep track of who wants to participate and also who doesn't want to. So if you're on the other end of the spectrum, worried of like, well, I don't really want to like be pulled into all this stuff. I'm a little more on the shy side, or it's not my thing. Cool. They are so good at reading the room. And like you said, if there's like a kid who's like really, really overzealous and excited, they're good about saying, if the kid's like, pick me, they will say, okay, I'm picking you and I'm going to put you to do this. And they'll focus them in a good direction that keeps them busy, gives them attention so that they can free themselves up to give attention to other people. They're so good at handling this. That would be, honestly, like you said, like, don't worry about it, because you really shouldn't. They're really good at handling this. And if for some reason you do find yourself maybe getting annoyed with another passenger, like in the way they're interacting, what I would say is be mindful of your thoughts. Stop, kind of breathe for a second, and think, this person that might be, hogging the spotlight or whatever, they don't know that they're causing a negative experience for somebody else. Because in most cases, if people knew that they wouldn't be doing it. And so just remember that. Like, this person, whoever it is, for whatever reason, may not realize that they're doing that. And just kind of once you sit and realize and like think about that, it usually will calm you down and you're more accepting. They're like, okay, I can go with the flow. I get it. Not everybody knows. It's one of those things. So be mindful of your thoughts. Yeah. Look at you. You're so zen tonight.
I've been reading. I need to be after after one of the videos I watched talking bad about Starcruiser yesterday. All right, next question. What to do if you press the wrong response by mistake on the data pad? Are you marked for life? Now, this one I don't know, and I'm wondering what do you got on this one? Because I don't have an answer.
I don't have an answer on this one, and it's pretty rare that there's a Starcruiser question I don't have an answer for. I'm going to give the same advice I gave on the last question. Don't worry about it too much.
Yeah, it doesn't...
It's going to be okay.
Because
I will say this.
I don't want to spoil anything.
But this is not spoiling it anyway. on the first voyage, I felt like we did a lot more on the data pad and we did less character interaction. On the second voyage, it was completely flipped in that we did a lot more character interaction and a lot less on the data pad. And I don't know if that was something we did different or
was that by
something
design,
that changed.
like an update? Yeah,
I don't
interesting.
I don't know what happened there, but we really were not on our data pads as much as we were the first time. And so it wasn't an issue of like, oh man, I picked wrong on that one. But maybe just slow down.
Yeah, slow down.
Slow down, man.
Think about it, man. All right, question number 3. Anything I can do before or during the cruise to prepare for the massive letdown at departure? First off, join our Facebook group for the post-voyage. It's our little like recovery group. So it's a support group, because for real though, like we've talked about it before, it hits you hard. It really does. You're in a very intense experience for like 48 hours, and then all of a sudden kind of nothing for a little bit. You're kicked out, or you go to your next hotel and you're just like, what do I do now? What am I what am I supposed to do? It's just it's a whole body, whole mind kind of feeling. Slow down again. All your answers today are going to be slow down, Milton. But for real, slow down, like reflect, actually take that time and like think, just like remember. If anything, good advice I would say is write down everything you're thinking. I am very zen tonight. Write down everything that you're thinking, because you don't want those details and those thoughts that are in your head that day to get lost. Like, open a note in your phone and type out whatever, just word vomit right under your notepad, and just put it all out there and save it and come back to it later. Because over time, our memories do change. The way we remember what happened can get skewed. You know, it happens. But I think the best thing to do is just literally sit and write it all out. Whatever you're thinking, write it all out. And that could help. Because then later, it could go back and read your note a couple weeks later, be like, oh yeah, I did love all that.
Oh, so I have really irresponsible advice, which is go ahead and book your second Starcruiser trip before you go on your first one. So
that's the move. That's the move.
Because here's the thing. I think the reason that it was so difficult for us on that first voyage is we thought it was a once in a lifetime experience, and we were never going to be able, or we were not going to go back for a long, long time.
Yeah, we talked about it in the lead up, saying like, this is it. Like, we talked about it like, this is the only time we're ever going to get to do this. And it was, and like, we're going back. It's amazing. Who knew?
Fiscally, the right decision is to go one time. Once you've experienced it, it's absolutely impossible to think that you could never go back. Because it does something to you, and it's wild. You want it again,
which is the funny part. A lot of like the criticism, mostly from people who haven't been, they say, well, the price is so wild, people are never going to go back, and like it's a one and done. And in reality, the feedback we've seen, especially through these groups, like we're talking thousands of members and hundreds of people leaving this kind of feedback that say, when can I go back? And these are from people who have actually been, not like some internet pundit who's mad that it costs so much, but from people who have actually been. And the most feedback we see isn't like, it sucked, it was too much, and it wasn't worth it. We rarely see anything like that. Most people walk away and say, when can I go back? It's nuts.
Us, we're most people.
Yeah, we're most people. Our next question comes from Michaela Eds. 2 questions. One is, when they say alcohol and specialty drinks, what do they mean by specialty drinks? Just like cocktails, or do they have mocktails that are also a separate price? And your second question is regarding a name. So I do want to address your first question real quick about the drinks. And look, there's a menu right on screen. So the specialty cocktails are on the left, but if you look at the bottom right of that menu, there are 2 items.
See that? That's tiny.
Well, we can go bigger. There you go. We're both blocked out. Bottom right, specialty non-alcoholic, blue milk citrus fizz, and Muja Twist. Notice they're significantly less expensive at $8 each. And again, those prices might update and change. But there are mocktails. There are specialty items. And there's even one that, Sarah, didn't you try one with like sparkly glitter or something when you went in August?
Yeah, it's called the Gem of Ryloth. It was a new non-alcoholic drink that they did add to the menu. I don't know that it's officially, when I went, it was still fairly new. I think it was within a week of it coming out.
Gotcha.
So I'm assuming by now the menu's been updated and it's on there. But most of the specialty cocktails are going to be around that $8 range. If you want to make them non-alcoholic and put some alcohol in them, they will do it for you. They'll charge you for it, but they will do it for you.
I'm going to have
That's
to
what
do
I
that
did.
this time. Yeah, I'm going to have to do that this time. I didn't do that the first round.
Also, Betty Bantha needs to remind you that that first one has essentially blue milk ice cream. It's blue milk sorbet.
This is the blue milk citrus fizz,
Yeah,
lychee lime, lemon lime soda, and blue milk sorbet. Yeah, I didn't try
it's really
anything
good.
like that. Okay, yeah, next time. Definitely.
It was good.
All right. Next question comes from Carrie E. Melander. Actually, there was another question
Wait, there
there.
was a two-parter.
There was a two-parter from Michaela before we get into Carrie's question. Should I just use my normal name, or can I come up with a name that better fits my backstory / character? If I come up with another name, will this interfere with me getting missions and such since my normal name on the room reservation is different? That's a good question. I see it come up a lot. How do you feel
Yeah,
about it?
I answer this question a lot. So for your actual reservation, you should have your legal name on there, especially if you're purchasing trip insurance, because if you purchase trip insurance under your Star Wars name, they're not going to cover you because you don't have any identification for your Star Wars character's name. So put your actual legal name on the reservation. For Star Cruiser specifically, when you download that Play Disney Parks app, you have the opportunity to change your nickname in there, which is what will be used in the data pad. Now, during Star Cruiser, they are going to ask you, what's the last name on the reservation, which is the lead guest on the reservation. So if you're within a mixed
That's
group or
key.
something like that, you're going to need the last name of the lead guest on the reservation. So keep that in mind. But if you're introducing yourself as a character name, the characters, or as your character, the cast is going to remember your character name. The crew
Whatever
is
you
going to
tell
remember
them.
your character name. Yeah, it's whatever you tell
Yeah.
them. So
Because basically, like the cast members, like the actor characters, they don't really see what your data pad name is. You know, your nickname on the Play Disney app, they don't see whatever you typed in there. So
no.
just know that. But whatever name you give verbally out loud is what they remember.
And
So,
they remember it.
oh, yeah.
It's not, they're not being fed your name. They remember your
Yeah,
name.
we got
So,
confirmation. I've heard that from multiple cast members now that they are not being fed names in the ear. There's not some big brother watching and saying, that's little Johnny, remember his name. They're not doing that at all. These actors, like we said, they're amazing and super talented, are actually just memorizing names, which is just, that's insane to me that they're able to do
honestly,
that.
like that alone is just kudos. Like the fact that they're doing all of the stuff that they do on top of remembering hundreds of people's names, and it's
Every
different. It's a
3 days,
different, yes, 2 days,
every two
really.
and a half days. Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah, it's
Wild
insane.
to me.
All right, let's get into Carrie's question here about the characters. Is there really time to connect with the cast members, all of them? How much time would you, two questions, how much time would you
Oh,
allow for outfit changes? So regarding
ooh,
connecting to the characters,
the cast
all of
members.
their cast, I'm sorry, cast members, all of them,
Yeah.
I would say not all of them, if we're talking about the wait staff, you do get to like learn them a little bit because you generally have the same wait staff at dinner both nights, if I
Yes, you
remember
do.
correctly, similar to a cruise. But I mean, yeah, I don't know. Like I said, everybody has a story, but are you really going to spend your time in the gift shop learning like their story like multiple times? You know, that's what I'm saying. Like the bartenders, they're all fun and they have their own things too. And there's multiple bartenders. So as far as the all of them part, I would say no, there's not really time to connect with all of them because there are so many.
Right.
But as far as the main characters, your first order character, you know, Gaia, all this kind of the main characters, can you really connect with all of them in one trip? It's
Even the
hard.
main characters, that's hard to do.
It's hard.
I would say it's yeah, you're not gonna sleep.
I
You're
mean,
not
I
gonna have like any
definitely
downtime.
I had moments with all of them, like good one-on-one ish moments with all of them, like by name recognition with every single one. Some way more intense than others,
Yeah.
but like I did not go the first order path, but I definitely had plenty of run-ins with Croy,
Yeah.
and it was a recurring thing that we would do to each other that was fun. Like we kind of made a little, I don't want to like get into it too much, but it was kind of like an inside joke that kept being brought up every time we would cross paths. And so that wasn't even a character that was on my path. So
Right.
you can have moments with them all, but it's hard because we don't know what your definition of connect is. But you can definitely have moments with all of them.
Yeah. I am definitely like I have special moments with some of the crew members just because we like hung out in the Sublight Lounge a lot, or I, being ridiculous and trying on all the headpieces in the gift shop. And like, you make the moments that you're going to make. But if you're trying to connect with every single person on there, you're probably going to start impacting your storyline.
Got it. Second question. How much time would you allow for outfit changes? Me, I'm quick and simple. I had a lot of changes.
Okay, Gaia.
I wasn't on Star Cruiser. Thank you very much. That was Oogie Boogie. And I don't think I'm wearing that to Star Cruiser. Who knows? I did have the ideas like, oh, should I just be a full on alien? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But to answer the question, how much time would you allow? I guess it depends on how elaborate your costume is and how many changes you have. I did have quite a few changes, but my changes were quick and simple. It was like literally sometimes just a shirt and a light jacket would swap, or I'd put a vest on instead with a different shirt. And like like my changes were very fast. I kind of packed that way on purpose. But if you're doing like full, I mean, it doesn't take long. The nice part is getting to your room from, say, the atrium does not take long. You can be there from the center of the atrium to your room in a minute to a minute and a half. If not, like if you hurry, probably even faster than that.
Yeah, it's depending on where your room is, because some of the halls are long. Like we were at the very end of our hall. Sure, at the very
end, yeah, it could take a little bit longer, but
yeah, it's not too far. The problem is with outfit changes, especially like midday outfit changes, is that you're starting to get into your story, and your story may be stacked right on top of each other. And if you appreciate taking things like bathroom breaks, you might be cutting into that if you're going to go change your outfit constantly. Let me share a little bit about myself. On the first voyage, I wore this. It was gorgeous. This jumpsuit was absolutely beautiful, but it was a one piece and it zipped all the way up the back. And it had no storage, and you have to carry your phone and all these other things around. So I had this little belt, like a little utility belt. So anytime I had to go to the restroom, I had to take the utility belt all the way off. I had to unzip this thing all the way down to go use the restroom. Just using the restroom took me like 5-10 minutes.
Oh,
so
no.
Outfit change, it was a lot. It was intense. So one, I won't make that mistake again, but two, just keep that in mind when you're thinking about your costumes, like how easy it is for you to get in and out of it, especially if you are going to be planning multiple outfit changes. But try to keep it as quick as possible. I would say you're probably going to end up spending 10-15 minutes each time you go change your outfit in your cabin at a minimum, and be comfortable, because you're going to be moving around a lot, especially from like dinner time to the end of the evening. I probably won't take that advice this time, but that's the advice I would give.
All right, fair enough. Now, since Carrie brought up a question about outfits and costumes, the next section of tips and questions we have are all going to be focusing on that. So next up, we've got Allison Huffman, who asks, how many outfits should people pack? I'm torn about packing 5 outfits for 2 days, which is, I think, roughly what I did. I think I had about 5, maybe even 6. But again, it was 5. A lot of interchangeable pieces. It might be like the same pants and I swapped shirt and jacket or shirt and vest. So I did it like in a more modular way where you can kind of mix and match. So it was easier. But how many? I'm still going to probably pack 7 this time. And who knows what I'll actually end up wearing. It'll be one of those things. But what do you think is an optimum amount?
So I packed 5 and wore 5 my first voyage, and I should have gone down to 4. So on my second voyage I went down to 4, and then on this next voyage I'm probably going to go up to 6.
Okay, all right, you're going big. Wow.
I'm going the opposite of my advice, because, and we're going to get into this, we're going on May 3rd. I want it to be a big voyage.
Yeah,
I've got big plans. I'm telling you this now before I've actually started like planning.
You're telling me this to put pressure on me, so mine has to be ridiculous too.
So that you show up as Gaia's long lost twin brother.
No. Maybe we'll see.
Oh man.
All right. Next question comes from Katrin. Ouch. How important is it to be visually recognizable to cast, aka having the same similar costume elements or hairstyle? This is a good question because this comes up a lot too.
It does come up a lot. And this is something that I've asked in the group too, is like, what is it that you did to make yourself recognizable to the cast members? And some people said, this is the exact same thing that I did. Some people said, I didn't do anything. and I still felt like I got treatment, like equal treatment to everybody else or more treatment because of their personality or whatever it was that their backstory was. So it's as important as you want it to be. What I would say is that's a way to kind of hack a little bit. It's a way to kind of level up and get a leg up if you are going to do that. Just make sure that it is something
like
recognizable enough to for somebody to realize. It may be out of the normal for you. Like maybe you're like, I'm going to wear my hair in a high ponytail.
Side pony.
One side pony. But it may be
pony.
something that's like different to you, but it's not necessarily different to like Starcruiser passengers.
Someone who doesn't know you. So, yeah.
Right. So
I
just
like
keep
that.
in
I
mind.
like referring to it as a hack because as far as how important is it, it's probably not the most important thing, but it helps.
It helps.
Yeah, I like that. All right. Our next question comes from Evan Fitzpatrick, and he has some tips, actually. I want to suggest tips on how to work practicalities into costumes. Pouches / phone cases, bags. It's like you were mentioning, you didn't have any storage in your costume, so this is what he's talking about. His example is he has a large data pad case, so he had a satchel bag at all times, and it also had gifts for people and cast members. That's the thing people do, is they bring little trinkets to like give away. I had a satchel or a little side pouch bag that I did the same thing with. He also packs a sabacc deck, good move, some credits and an ID, probably a Hondo supply ID. When I don't have that big data pad case and satchel for it, I have 3 large pouches, 2 hip, 1 thigh, and a water bottle carrier. He's carrying a lot. Evan's carrying a ton of stuff. A water bottle's a lot. That's like dead weight. I don't know if I would personally have a water bottle carrier because there is water available in the atrium and in the dining room like all the time. And the sublight too. But as far as like the phone and all that kind of stuff, yeah, especially depending on your costume. Because some of these costumes, like in your case, didn't have pockets. My Resistance flight suit didn't have pockets. There's not a place to like just use a normal pocket. So I had to put my wallet in a weird spot and thought I lost it. You know, it's one of those things. I wish I had better storage. This is a really good tip from Evan. And in our Facebook costuming group, in the pinned post up top, I've actually gone through and made a big list of accessories. A lot of them include these like hip bags, these little satchels or pouches, leg pouches. So check out that Facebook group and look at the pinned pouches, because not only is there accessories, but there's a whole list of items for costuming for women, whole list of items for men, and a lot of the work is already done for you. So just take a look there and start piecing your stuff together, or at least get ideas from that list. And our next question comes from Natalie Keating. What is the best, or what the best ideas are for the second day on Batuu with hotter weather? Oh, that's true. We're going to be in May. Layered for our first voyage, and we're comfortable enough, but going in May, it'll be much hotter under those 3 suns. And not only is it heat, but it's humid. It's like a thick, you breathe in that heat in Florida. It's going to be rough. And I'm glad Natalie brought that up. Natalie's going to be going with us on our May 3rd voyage. That's really cool too. Any suggestions on how to dress for that?
Just survive, man. So we were very aware. Our second voyage was in August, was beginning of August. It was incredibly hot. And we made sure to plan our outfits in that, to try to combat the heat as much as possible. So we did a lot of breathable fabrics, a lot of linens. I think my outfit consisted of like a tank top and some linen pants, and then it was tucked into boots. And I had like a belt. Anywhere there was leather, my boots, my belt, it was sweaty. But everywhere else was pretty okay. And Steven did the same thing. He did a lot of linen fabrics and kept things pretty light. So I would say go as light as possible as you can with the clothing. You can still layer a little bit. You can add a scarf here and there and take it off as you need to. Another hack, and this is something that we're looking into, is we use cooling towels when we go to the Disney parks in the hotter months. So those towels that you like wet and wring it out and then put it around your neck. I want to try to figure out a way to make it look more in universe, but also use it so that we can keep ourselves cool, because we had that and we had fans on us. So we didn't look like incredibly Star Wars, but we also weren't just like puddles by the end of it. The other thing is, as soon as you get back to the Starcruiser, just go change. Go change, go refresh. And that's why one of my outfit changes is like, I need that. I know that I'm going to feel gross after Batuu, and so I'm going to go back to the room and freshen up and put on a new outfit.
Yeah, just plan for that. Plan to change. Whatever. Add that to your outfit changes for day 2.
They also do give you water bottles.
They still do that at the little dock or whatever, the docking bay for it. That's cool.
Yeah.
All right. This is a question that comes up quite a bit from Paul Bashad. Do you need to dress up for dinners, or should you go as a scruffy nerf herder? And look at this right underneath. Alyssa already answered the question. See, this is why the groups are such a good resource. You may not have to wait for us to make a video. Alyssa answered, getting dressed up or changing outfits throughout the day or dinner, it's not required to have a good time or progress the story. So no need to add pressure to yourself if you don't want to. Perfect answer. You absolutely don't have to. It doesn't affect your story. Some people do, and we thought going into it initially that with a lot of time with like cruises, Disney cruises, there's like a formal night. So we thought that was what it would be for the dinner. And it can be if you want it to be. But if that's not your thing and you're like, no, I'm a scoundrel, I would never dress that nice.
Don't do it.
Be comfortable.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, have fun, enjoy it. Our next question comes to us from Jessica Caroline. For those who have cruised more than once, any tips for second timers? Things you're glad you did, brought, or wore differently, or glad you kept the same? So I've only been the once. I can't really speak to this, so this one's all yours, Sarah.
I can speak to it. I was crazy enough to go twice already and have a third voyage planned, which we'll talk about in a second. It's so hard to believe it, but the second cruise is better than the first cruise. And it's like, it's been my theme for this whole video, is that you just don't worry about things the way you worry about your first one. With the first cruise, you feel like there's so much FOMO that's happening and you feel like you have to experience everything, yet you don't know what the experience is, that you're constantly just like, should I be over here with this action? Should I be over there with that action? Where am I actually supposed to be right now? With the second one, you basically know the mechanics of how everything's going to play out. You know the overall story. And so you know which pieces of it you're okay missing and which pieces of it you really want to participate in. And so you can focus your efforts more that way. Like I said, lessons that we learned, and Steven and I did a whole video on like lessons learned after our second voyage over on Princess and Scoundrel. But it is essentially, don't worry so much. Like we also did say, like, don't pack you don't need to pack as many outfits. We made the mistake of showing up not dressed in costume because on our first voyage, our luggage beat us to the room, but on our second voyage, it didn't. So just take the things that you really enjoyed about the first voyage and make sure that you carry those through on the second one. But the biggest thing is that you're just not going to stress as much and you're going to enjoy it so much more, which is hard to believe because the first time you do it, you're just like, poof, your mind is blown. It's the best thing ever.
And that makes perfect sense because, like we said, before we went, we were stressing out so hard about game planning. Am I going to do this? And in the moment, while you're on that first cruise, you still don't know. It's all just happening to you. So yeah, you're right. The second time will be way more freeing because you don't have to worry about it. It's like, oh no, I've done that. I know this person.
Yeah.
We're good.
Yeah, that's fine.
I can just kind of go and chill. Yeah, I like that. That's really good.
But I think that this is a good segue because we're going back. We're going back together on.
Yeah.
So silly. We're going back on the May 3rd, 2023 voyage, which means that we will be on Batu on May 4th. I've never celebrated May the 4th on Planet before, so I'm very, very excited for this. And then we get to end the day back on the Starcruiser, which is just like the tops. But interestingly enough, so we have booked a lot of people on this cruise. There's a big group of us going, and a lot of them are second-time cruisers. So I think it's going to be really fun because everybody's going to just be like super, not chill, but we're all going to be going into it kind of knowing what's happening.
Yeah,
and so
we all will know how to
vibe.
play. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. The late nights at the Sublight Lounge for that trip are going to be just over the top insane. That's
yes.
So, just thinking about it. It's going to be great.
So a couple housekeeping things as travel agent for most of the people that are going on this one, but just in general, if you are going on the May 3rd voyage, final payment is coming up on February 2nd for the May 3rd voyage, which means that that's when your 90 days is. That's when you've got to decide if you're going to add trip insurance, those types of things. Those decisions have to be made by February 2nd. Fast forward to March, that's going to be the 60-day mark where you can decide if you want to book any of the extracurriculars, which is building a droid at Droid Depot, building a lightsaber at Savi's Workshop, drinking at Oga's Cantina, the CSL portrait experience, and then image design, which is the face painting service that they offer on Starcruiser. That is also when Shop Disney opens up to you again, where you have access for 60 days prior to your voyage and up to 30 days after your voyage to purchase any of the costumes, or now they just have like general merch on there, I believe, as well. It's not all of the things that you can get from the gift shop on the ships, so definitely do most of your damage on the ship. But if you're wanting some of the costumes beforehand so that you're ready for your voyage, you can start doing that at 60 days before.
And if you want to know more about those costumes, I have reviews for most of them. Yeah. So just the heads up, if you want to know more about the feel, fit, is it worth getting, check those videos out on the channel, because we've already got a lot of that info out there for you.
We cover Starcruiser a lot on both of our channels.
Yep. It's kind of our jam.
The other thing is, and this has been a slight change from what we saw from our first voyage, is that the itinerary, remember at 60 days is when it like first activated for us. And I think it's still activating at 60 days, but it really firms up at the 30-day mark. So just know that you may see it at the 60-day mark, but you're not really going to see like exactly what your itinerary is going to look like until 30 days. And it could change at any point up to your voyage. So just keep that in mind too.
Yeah, I believe ours changed like 2 weeks before. Like we remember like the 30 days, we saw it, freaked out. And then we kept noticing little changes like every week. We'd be like, oh no, this updated, this disappeared. Yeah. Where did this go? So that may still happen. Just be ready for that kind of thing.
Yeah, but it's going to be absolutely incredible. We are going to have a lot of second-time cruisers, but there will be a lot of first-time cruisers too. And so
and a lot of friends.
A lot of friends. Oh my God, I'm so excited. But we don't want to slow anybody's story down. We don't want to derail anybody's story in any way. And like, we're going to go off and we're going to try new paths as well from what we've done on our previous voyages. So we don't want to, please don't feel like we want to interfere with what it is that you're doing at all. So let's do the Starcruiser. Let's play our own stories out during the day. And then let's all plan to hang out at night in the Sublight Lounge, swap stories throughout the day, just hang out, have some drinks together. That way you still get the full Starcruiser experience, but we can all still come together and together as one at the end of the day. Oh,
perfect. I love it. Now, we did have a question from someone coming about this voyage. And Keith Davis asks, are we planning a meetup the night before the cruise? And that's a good question. It's something a lot of people have been throwing around in our specific May 3rd group. And
we have
I believe
another Facebook group.
I know that's why I said we have so many. That's why I wanted to lead with it, is so you guys know we have all these groups set up for the different niches. If you don't like droids, you don't need to droid Mubo's Droid Builders Club. But if you like lightsabers, we have Savi's Gather. You know, it's all there for you. But specifically to this group, we're going to be doing a meetup. There's one that's going to be planned, and it seems like it's going to be organized a little bit more by our friends Heroes of the Halcyon, which is a great podcast you should listen to, especially if you're a Galactic Starcruiser fan, because that's their whole focus. They've been doing breakdowns, talking with people who have been, and it's been a really interesting, like, listen to, I've been on there, you've been on there, and they're going too. They're some of our friends that are going to be there, so it's going to be really fun to hang out with them again. But the idea is to do some kind of meetup the night before in Disney Springs. Now, we don't have details on that yet, but pay attention in the Facebook group because we'll be announcing it there. And definitely follow Heroes of the Halcyon, because I think they reached out to me to see about setting it up. And so I'm like, yeah, you guys, I have enough on my plate. You guys take it. You guys set up that meetup. I'll just show up. So...
Yeah. And that's for anybody that's in the Orlando area. It's not necessarily for the people that are going to be on Starcruiser. So it's just it's open to anybody.
Perfect place to come say hi or whatever.
Yeah. So we personally, Steven and I won't be there. We're going to be flying in like pretty late the night before, which kind of stinks. But we'll be on Starcruiser. It'll be fun.
Nice. Now, speaking of meetups, I haven't formally announced it yet, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to schedule a Mubo's Droid Builder Club meetup for May the 4th that morning while we're on our excursion, which is a lot to squeeze in. But I think I'm going to section off an hour that morning, like maybe a 10 to 11 droid meetup outside the droid depot, and I'll be there for a part of it, is I think what I'm going to do. But I want to do a both coast, East Coast and West Coast, again, droid meetup while I'm at Starcruiser, because they're always fun to do, and people like to come and bring their droids to the park. Heck, I may not even have a droid with me. We'll see. But but still,
can you even go to the park if you don't have a droid? Are you allowed in?
I've been going lately. My last couple trips, I did not have a droid.
Oh my goodness,
I left my babies at home. Don't tell, they're all powered down. They're all powered down. They don't know, but shh, quiet droids. Okay. So speaking of May 4th, though, do we already kind of go over what we expect for May 4th? Is there going to be anything special happening that day? Merch, food? What do we expect?
So we can look at what they've done so far for the holidays. I don't know that they didn't do anything specific for the May 4th voyage in 2022, but Starcruiser was still pretty new. That was like 2 months into Starcruiser, and they're still getting their feet under them. They did do specialty cocktails for Life Day in November. Yeah. And then they actually like added an event to the itinerary for New Year's Eve. So they did a solar cycle celebration, and they had characters there come out. They had Linktr.ee come out and do a countdown to midnight, and they had like little party horns,
little toast, and that's cool.
Yeah, it was
something.
Cool. And
it's something. I like that.
They're acknowledging it in some way, and I think that's really neat. And they've mentioned in the past that they are going to start acknowledging holidays more. Now, they didn't do anything for Christmas, I don't believe, or like Thanksgiving or anything.
No major story changes is kind of the big expectation. Don't expect a big story change, but maybe a minor little item or 20-minute or 15-minute little section of something might happen. Who knows?
Maybe, yeah. Maybe, so there may be something special for May the 4th. It may be just a drink. It may be an event. We don't know as far as Starcruiser goes. Now we can look at what they've done on Batuu and in Hollywood Studios in the past for May the 4th. Like I said, I've never celebrated May the 4th on Planet before, but typically it's Disney World, so it's typically merch focused, not necessarily food and drinks like you would get over at Batuu West.
Yeah. Yeah, Disneyland's a lot better about having new cool food and merch drop.
Whoa.
If it just is, I'm just saying, West is the best. But it's true. We get all the cool merch.
It's so cozy.
It is cozy. And we get it at the Droid Depot dock, Ondar's, Creature Stall. Like, we got stuff last year everywhere. Toydarian Toy Maker got new stuff. And same thing with Life Day. We got new stuff while Disney World didn't. So when it comes to May 4th, I really don't know what to expect at Batuu East this year. I'm hoping they step up their game a little bit and we get not just generic Star Wars merch, because I think we can count on that. I think we can count on May the 4th pins being available for sale at Tatooine Traders outside of Star Tours. I think we can count on a t-shirt that says May the 4th, 2023 to be on sale at that store too. But as far as Galaxy's Edge specific, I don't honestly know what to expect. Lately, East Coast has been getting the shaft on everything. Like, they don't even have the new lightsaber parts yet. So
yeah, which is weird. But that's one thing to note too, is that there might be May the 4th merch that is not, you have to leave Batuu to go get it. And it's May the 4th. There's going to be lots of Star Wars fans there, not just the ones that are on Starcruiser, but just like anybody that's in the parks that day or going to the park specifically to look for this merch. So keep that in mind, is that you might be waiting in line for a long time if you're trying to get your hands on specific May the 4th merch. And so another thing that we were thinking about for the May 3rd voyage, and this is silly, yes, but also fun, yes. In Andor, there was a prison breakout, and they all wore these Narkina 5 jumpsuits, and so we are trying to source some,
one way out.
So we are trying to source some Narkina 5 jumpsuits that people can purchase, and we can do this whole silly thing where we can do some fun photo ops, and maybe
if we run down the hallways, we'll do it early before people go to bed. Promise, we won't be late and rude about it.
No, we won't at all. But yeah, so we're thinking about doing something fun like that, and
that could be awesome.
It's so ridiculous. I'm so excited.
Group photos in the pajamas late at night. That'd be great.
You're like camp photos.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of is like camp anyways, right? It's like a quick little 48-hour summer camp. But guys, with that, I think we've covered a lot of the changes, a lot of our expectations for Galactic Starcruiser in 2023. So that leaves it up to you. Do you guys have more questions? Do you have more thoughts, ideas? What are you expecting to see this year? Let us know down in the comments below. And before we head out, Sarah, where can people find you?
You can find me many places on the internet. For the most part, I am on Instagram at Sara Jay Mac. My podcast that I do with my husband is Princess and Scoundrel. You can find us on YouTube, podcast, Instagram, and TikTok. And if you are looking to go on Starcruiser and you would like my help booking your trip, you can go to starcruiserbooking.com. It doesn't have to be for the May 3rd voyage. It can be for at any time, but I am more than happy to help you because, as you can see, I'm obsessed with the Halcyon, and I would love to help you have the best voyage ever.
All right, so we gotta end it with our cross screen. Oh, wrong hand. There it is. We did it. A little cross the internet. High five. We did it, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and until next time, don't be a move milker. Be the spark.